Speaker of Parliament wants Supreme Court ruling on Deputy Speaker's right to vote while presiding reviewed.
Investigations ongoing into Asante Mampong fire which killed 2 persons.
6 of 13 Apiate explosion victims interred.
Government sued over moves to mine bauxite in Etiwa Forest.
And poorer countries in Africa and Middle East to suffer food security due to Russia's war in Ukraine.
This is News Hour coming to you live on GBC News and GTV. Hello, good evening. I'm Suyoko Kwakutre.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Anand. Jonathan Intim Dako will translate the news into sign language. The Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Alban Gbagbin, is calling for a review of the Supreme Court ruling that affirms a Deputy Speaker's right to vote while presiding. In a statement, Mr. Gbagbin encouraged the applicant on the voting rights case at the Supreme Court to go for a review following the 7-0 unanimous ruling last Wednesday.
He says the Supreme Court's decision is, to say the least, not only an absurdity but a reckless incursion into the remit of Parliament. The statement further explained that the trend of unanimity is equally troubling and doesn't help explore and expand the legal jurisprudence. The Supreme Court on Wednesday, 9th March 2022, ruled that a Deputy Speaker presiding over proceedings in Parliament has the right to vote on matters and also be counted as part of the quorum for decision-making in Parliament.
There was a fire in the early hours of Friday at Asante Mampong, leading to the death of 2 persons. Property lost to the fire in the Ashanti region is valued at thousands of Ghana cedis. The Mampong Municipal Fire Command is currently investigating the incident to unravel the actual cause of the fire, but has not ruled out electricity as a possible cause.
The occupants of the building were fast asleep when the fire started at approximately 4 a.m. today. It occurred at Wakese, a suburb of Asante Mampong. The fire was first detected in the ceiling of the living room, where some of them were sleeping. From the eyewitness, it took more than an hour for personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service to arrive with their firefighting equipment. 2 persons were trapped by the fire to death. They are Madame Ajua Ejakuma, aged about 90 years, and her 11-year-old grandson, Yao Mensa. One of the occupants of the house, Madame Efiakunedu, first detected the fire. From her account, she was able to rescue some of the children from the inferno, but the old lady could not escape. I saw smoke coming from the ceiling and shouted for help, so I called my grandmother to come out while I rushed the children outside. And then I heard her shout, "I am burning," and didn't hear her voice again. Madame Efiakunedu dispelled any suggestion that the fire could have been caused by a faulty gadget or socket, saying that members of the household always disconnect every electrical gadget before going to bed. She said distress call to the Municipal Fire Service took more than an hour before any help could come, by which time the 2 lives had already been lost, with the building completely destroyed by the fire. In an interview, the Mampong Municipal Fire Commander, DO3, Mr. Bafojo, said they had to call for reinforcement from the Dra Fire Station before the inferno could be subdued. He said even though investigation into the cause of the fire is ongoing, the old nature of the wiring system could be blamed.
More than 25 years. The buildings are dilapidated, and the inferior cables for the wiring easily catches fire.
The bodies have since been deposited at the Mampong Government Hospital morgue pending autopsy and police investigations.
They were visibly inconsolable at a funeral and mass burial on Friday morning at Apiate in the Western region. It gives some closure to families of 6 out of 13 victims of last January's explosion, whose remains have been interred in the community. 15-month-old Ella Baidu, who also died in the January 20th explosion, has also been buried. People from all walks of life mourned with the people of Apiate.
13 people lost their lives, scores were injured, and the whole community destroyed when explosives being transported to a mine accidentally detonated at Apiate near Bogoso in the Prestia Hiuni municipality of the Western region on January 21, 2022. The injured were sent to various hospitals in and around Bogoso, while the dead were sent to the morgue. 6 of the dead, including 15-month-old Ella Baidu, have been interred after a mass burial service. The rest are 80-year-old Ekuya Nyame, Justice Kwesi Takwa, 21, Emmanuel Kwenu, 29, Isaac Benyin, 45, and Michael Efriye, 19. 4 of the dead were interred last weekend, and 2 will be taken to their hometowns next week for burial. In an exhortation, the parochial administrator of the St. Michael Catholic Church, Bogoso, Reverend Father Edward Kujo, urged the people to, in all situations, serve God faithfully.
Your life is not your own. You live for God.
Miss Theodora Ama, who lost her 15-month-old baby, and other mothers recounted how they took the news of the death of their children. A deputy minister for lands and natural resources in charge of forestry, Mr. Benito Wusubio, who led a government delegation to the funeral, consoled the bereaved families and the people. He said government is hopeful of rebuilding the destroyed community within 12 months, while efforts are ongoing to make their temporary habitat better.
The General Jurisdiction 10 Division of the High Court in Accra, hearing a case in which some groups have sued government over attempts to mine bauxite in the Etiwa Range Forest in the Eastern region, has granted a request by the groups to file additional witness statements. The court, presided over by Justice John Nyante Nyedu, had on April 10, 2021, ordered the parties to file their witness statements and all other processes before Tuesday, March 8, 2022.
In court, lawyer for the plaintiffs, Mr. Maslinos Biatu, said they had filed their processes except one witness statement which was omitted. They apologized to the court for the omission and prayed for time to file same. The Attorney General, represented by Assistant State Attorney Madam Aisha Adams, did not oppose the request. She told the court that the AG's office has complied with the court orders to file their witness statement. The trial judge, Justice John Nyante Nyandu, after listening to the parties, granted the request to file the additional witness statement. The plaintiffs in the matter are a group of environmentalists, climate change activists, individuals, civil society and non-governmental organizations who are challenging the government over prospecting for bauxite in the Etiwa Range Forest without mining right. The concerned citizens of Etiwa landscape are Rocha Ghana, Flower Ghana, Ghana Youth Environment Movement, EcoCare Ghana, CASA Initiative Ghana, and some private individuals. The plaintiffs argue that government has already signed a memorandum of understanding with the People's Republic of China to develop a bauxite industry in Ghana, with the Itiwa rainforest as one of the sources. According to them, government, acting through the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, entered the forest in May 2019 to explore for bauxite by drilling deep holes, causing damage to the forest, which protects the watershed for 3 major rivers and several streams, serving water to more than 5 million Ghanaians. The group said they initiated the action after several unsuccessful attempts to engage the government on why it should not touch the forest, as it is classified as globally significant biodiversity area and a protected forest. The plaintiffs said they are not against the government course to mobilize resources through various endeavors, but contended that the Tiwa rainforest bauxite reserves are richer bauxite reserves and therefore must be kept as such. The plaintiffs also argue that strip mining, the only way to mine bauxite, could result in loss of forest cover, loss of biodiversity, loss of access to clean water, buildup of greenhouse gases, loss of emission reduction services, loss of medical and economic valuable plants, and change in tourism potential of the area. They are therefore urging the court to compel government to restore or pay the cost of damages that had been caused as a result of the recognizance, prospecting, and clearing of roads in the forest. The case has been adjourned to March 31, 2022 for case management conference.
The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has advised partners in the mining industry to act in accordance with the principles of mining. The Deputy Minister of Lands and Natural Resources in charge of mines, Mr. George Mreku-Duka, said compliance with the requirements helps operators to be accountable. This came up at an expanded council meeting of the Ghana Chamber of Mines at Kumasi.
The Ghana Chamber of Mines holds such meetings periodically to discuss trends in the mining industry and ways to refocus to ensure the industry reaps the desired benefits. Participants urge regulatory agencies to support the operations of mining companies and service providers as the industry continues to play an integral role in the economy. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources in charge of mines, Mr. George Mreku-Duka, said the recent incident at Apiate, though unfortunate, presents an opportunity for players in the sector to deepen their sense of responsibility across all levels of mining in order not to erode the gains made in the industry.
As mining practitioners, you must adhere to responsible mining principles as it presents a number of benefits, including reducing local conflicts and thereby buying you your social license. 2, preventing or at least minimizing environmental impacts. 3, facilitating access to financing because of lower perceived risk by financial markets. And finally, making business sense by improving the bottom line.
The president of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Mr. Eric Esubontain, called on the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to provide the chamber with a full report on the Apiate incident.
We as an industry are on the same page. We don't want the Apiate incident to happen again. And we think the only way we can be able to do that is to learn the lessons from it. But what would be even more important is that we get full disclosure or a full release of the outcomes of the investigations so that we can all grasp the full lessons that come out of those investigations.
The meeting was on the theme, Deepening the Responsible Mining Agenda to Promote Social Economic Development in Ghana.
The Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana says women have an invaluable role in the agricultural value chain. For this reason, The association says one of its core mandates for its formation is to advocate for pro-poor agricultural intake policies. At a gender sensitization forum on fertilizer subsidy in Bolgatanga, the association commended the government for the fertilizer subsidy program. They say it gives more support to women farmers in their crop yield.
Sensitization program focused on improving women participation in agriculture development programs, access to services and resources. It was also an avenue to forge partnerships to make women express themselves, gain confidence, build capacity to solve their own problems, and improve their knowledge on the fertilizer subsidy program. It was realized that women farmers had little or no knowledge concerning a 30% allocation of fertilizers to them. The head of programs and advocacy of PFAG, Dr. Charles Nyaba, was worried that there could be a fertilizer shortage this year due to the increase in prices.
We have seen the government fertilizer subsidy program as one pro-poor program that can support women farmers to be able to increase their crop yields. But experience over the years found that women are usually neglected when it comes to access to subsidized fertilizer. As part of implementation plan for the fertilizer subsidy program, provision of 30% allocation is supposed to go to the women. But having been discussing with these women, we found out that during the implementation, these provisions are usually neglected.
The Upper East Regional Officer for Women in Agricultural Development, Madame Felicity Adoba, said women empowerment-related activities are a necessary component to achieving household food security. She said a greater number of women are unable to farm due to the large size of their farmlands, financial constraints, and the unavailability of the subsidized fertilizers. Some of the participants who spoke to GBC News said they had no knowledge of the 30% allocation of fertilizers to women by the government. They were worried that some men often look down on them because they see women farmers as competitors.
The nature of agriculture today is so fertilizer dependent that if you don't apply fertilizer, your yield will be very poor. So we are appealing to government, they should prioritize women, they should give women the opportunity.
It was very difficult for us actually to get fertilizer, especially women. The men think that we are competing with them, and so they shouldn't. We shouldn't be giving fertilizer to farm to be able to get good yield like them. We are not competing with any man. We are complementing men.
The participants were from Pusiga District, Kasna Nankana East and West Districts, West Mamprushi Districts in the Northeast region, and Sisala East Districts from the Upper West region.
The government says construction of a flyover from the Flower Port roundabout on the Spintex Road onto the Tema Motorway, which aims to ease traffic congestion, is critical. The Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, Stephen Jalula, has expressed his satisfaction at the level of work done so far and urged the contractors to expedite work on the project to meet the deadlines they have set.
The project at Flower Port commenced in 2017 and is expected to be ready in June 2023. The main project at Ashalibutwe School Junction is a 33-kilometer road linking Pokwase, Kwabenya, Awoshi and their environs to the Adentan Medina Enclave. The Director of Urban Roads is Mr. James Amu Godfrey.
We are developing a flyover, or better say a viaduct, all the way from East Legon, over the motorway, over the Flower Port runabout, and also over the Spintex Road 1 to drop just after the traffic lights. We have some runabouts and some traffic lights intersections as well, together with walkways for pedestrians.
The Deputy Minister for Roads and Highways, Mr. Stephen Jalula, said the Spintex Flower Port flyover is dear to government.
It's very critical because if you look at this part of the city, congestion is so much that people who live beyond Adenta, Medina, Asalabuchu and others, East Legon and all its environs, they take a long time to get to the city center. So far, and the records are there to be checked, Nanado's government is a government that has done so much in road infrastructure than any government in its first 4 years.
Earlier, the sector minister, his deputy and other officials inspected a 6-kilometer project being undertaken by a Ghanaian contractor, Oswald Investment Group, from the school junction at Ashalebutwe to Boteman. The facility will be used by sportsmen in August next year when Ghana hosts the 2023 African Games. They also inspected the construction of Adringano overpass connecting the motorway, a slip from the motorway to the boundary road runabout. Contractors for the Spintex Flower Port flyover is China Railway Engineering, whilst Mercer Seamain undertakes the upgrading of a 9-kilometer dual carriage Spintex Road 1 from Palace Roundabout to Community 18. The contractors have been urged by the sector minister to complete the projects on time.
The new board of directors of the Graphic Communications Group Limited is charged with a duty to ensure prudent management and sustainability of the company while working diligently. The 8-member board was inaugurated in Accra on Friday.
The Graphic Communications Group Limited was established in 1950 in the then Gold Coast as a private business by the Daily Mirror Group of Britain. It is a leading and largest newspaper publishing company in Ghana, aimed to empower humanity with true information to help build a global society whose members are well informed. At the inaugural ceremony of its 8-member board of directors, the chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Yawbuidra Yeboafo, advised journalists to abide by the ethics of the profession.
In the world that we are in now, as we all agree, fake news has become the order of the day. And social media, in terms of efficiency, we cannot match social media. But in terms of effectiveness, we can, because the world is not about who said the story first. It is about who told the most credible story. And for as long as we remain credible, it does not matter how long it takes. Even though coming out first is good, if every time that you come out first and yet there is a but about what you have done, you achieve nothing, then wait and get things correct and tell the world what the true story is.
The chairperson of the board of directors, Professor Olivia Frimpong-Kwapon, says members will bring their expertise to bear to continue from where their predecessors left off.
We are ready to tap into all kind of accessible units and then communities, both international and local, that we could use to enhance the distribution of our brand. Because we know we have a rich content, and therefore that will be useful for both local and international communities.
The chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Yawbuidra Yeboafo, entreated the board to ensure regular and prompt payment of social security of the workers.
The incoming 8-member governing board of the Ghana News Agency is to assist with clarity of vision ethos and strategic direction for the state-owned media agency to deliver on its mandate. Swearing in the board, the chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Yawbuidra Yeboafo, said the commission will help to protect the country's state-owned media houses from undue political influence.
Truly serve the Republic of Ghana.
The GNA board is chaired by Mr. Ransford Tete, a former editor of the Daily Graphic. Their duty includes to assist the news agency to improve on its marketing skills, to attract more subscribers, build on its accuracy and reliability in news dissemination, and collaborate with management for better working conditions of staff. The chairman of the National Media Commission, Mr. Yawbuidra Yeboafo, swore in the new 8-member team. He charged them to bring their expertise to bear to help GNA achieve its organizational goals. He said the NMC will not countenance any attempt to undermine the efforts of the board and management in delivering its mandate.
For as long as we are discharging our obligations the way that we are mandated to discharge it, we will not let anybody use politics to derail our process. And so if there are any worker agenda who think that they have political people behind them and therefore they can flex their muscles and apply the politics, they will learn to their own dismay that politics will not help them.
The chairman of the board, Mr. Ransford Tete, said if GNA is adequately resourced, its subscriber base, from which most of its funds is sourced, will increase.
People who have walked into this building for the first time will see the place a deserted place. But there is action within the bloc that we need to give it a new facelift.
The Ghana News Agency is the country's official news agency. It was founded in 1957 by Ghana's first president, Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
You're live on GBC News, and this is News Hour. We take a break. When we come back, we'll do some business news. Please stay.
You're watching the business news brought to you by Quick Credit and MTN, and I am Esther Edu Ohumeu. The 2021 winner of the Jack Ma Foundation Africa Business Heroes Initiative is urging young entrepreneurs to remain positive even in the face of work difficulties. The founder and CEO of Skin Gourmet has been speaking at the launch of the 2022 edition of the Africa Business Heroes Initiative in Accra.
The Africa Business Heroes Prize Competition is the flagship philanthropic program established by the Jack Ma Foundation in 2019 to help foster an inclusive Pan-African entrepreneurial ecosystem. In an interview with GBC News, the program's and partnership manager for the Africa Business Heroes Initiative, Ms. Zara Bati Boateng, gave much detail about the scheme.
We aim to promote and support entrepreneurship across the African continent, and we do this in a variety of ways. Two of our main ways is through the prize competition, where we identify talented entrepreneurs from across the continent and award a prize pool of $1.5 million to 10 entrepreneurs from the continent. We also provide training opportunities, mentorship opportunities, and most importantly, we capture the entrepreneurial journeys and their inspiring stories through the Africa Business Heroes television show.
The 2021 winner for the Africa Business Heroes Prize competition was the CEO of Skin Gourmet, Ms. Violet Awo Amoabeng. She shared some experiences from the Continental Initiative.
The interviews they gave us, the exposure they gave us, the training they gave us. I mean, I would say that you're probably even getting $1 million grant, but you don't even see it. It's not about us saying that we have won or we're top 10. It's about us saying that this is an opportunity for every African that they don't see it. Some people come with different motives, but this stuff is real.
Ghana's inflation rate has hit a high of 15.7% in the month of February. The increase is 1.8 percentage points higher than the 13.9% recorded in January 2022. In an earlier interview, an economist, Mr. Eric Chebafo, said revamping the Ghana Stock Exchange would leverage capital for the state and help to reduce the inflationary pressures.
One thing that the state also needs to do is also revamping the Ghana Stock Exchange. Because currently, as at now, the Ghana do not have money. And it's only the stock exchange that can recruit and leverage a lot of funds for that state. If you look at the US, we have the Wall Street. If you go to Europe, we have the European market. If you go to London, you have the London Bullion Market or the London Stock Exchange. So under this pandemic and this crisis, these are the institutions that are raising funds and leveraging for the states. So if the state wants to come back to its single-digit inflation as it had previous years, this institution needs to revamp. They are the main key institutions that will help the economy to grow.
Still on inflation, price increases in the U.S. continue to surge for February, pushing the annual inflation rate up by 7.9%. This figure is the biggest year-on-year leap since 1982. Rising costs for energy, food, and shelter drove the gains, which are squeezing household incomes. President Joe Biden and central bank officials are under pressure to rein in the increases, which have proven more persistent than many expected. The Federal Reserve, the U.S. Central Bank, is widely expected to raise interest rates at its meeting this month. The U.S. and other parts of the world have already been grappling with high inflation for months. This has come as a surge in demand, fueled in part by pandemic aid, ran into supply constraints, labor shortages, and other issues. The war in Ukraine has added to the problems, driving a global surge in energy prices as the West and allies have shunned oil from Russia, which is typically responsible for about 7% of global supply. Energy prices in the U.S. jumped 3.5% in February, driven by a 6.6% leap in gasoline prices. Over the past 12 months, the energy index has soared more than 25%, with gasoline surging 38%. Americans who own SUVs are now paying an average of $110 per month, more than a year ago, to operate their vehicles. Even drivers of hybrids have seen monthly costs jump about $40. In the UK, where inflation hit 5.5% in January, the Bank of England has already increased rates, while the European Central Bank on Thursday said it will wind down some of its pandemic-era stimulus sooner than expected in response to the price pressures. And that was Business, brought to you by Quick Credit and MTN. Thanks for watching.
went off again. And I think it just came again and it's gone off.
And the light never came. So we slept in darkness, and in fact, my whole body was just very hot. I have to shower myself 4 times before I could sleep. So we are begging, whatever be the case, we are begging VNA people to bury their differences and then on the lights for us.
Some part of the Tamale metropolis and the Sanerugu municipality are without electricity. This is affecting socio-economic activities and made life uncomfortable for residents as the area is experiencing hot weather. The minority in Parliament is reiterating calls for the removal of some taxes on petroleum products to mitigate the impact of rising prices of crude oil on the international oil market. A member of the Mines and Energy Committee and Member of Parliament for Bongo, Mr. Edward Bauer, said fuel prices will hit 9 Ghana cedis per litre in the next pricing window if government does not remove some taxes on the fuel price build-up immediately.
Diesel and petrol are now being sold at 8 cedis 49 pesos per litre at some major pumps across the country. A member of the Mines and Energy Committee, Mr. Edward Bauer, says fuel prices may hit 9 Ghana cedis per litre in the next pricing window if government does not positively respond to calls for the scrapping of taxes such as the energy sector levy, sanitation and pollution levy, and special petroleum levy. Mr. Bauer explained that though the war in Ukraine may have contributed to the rise in the prices of petroleum products, the increase started before the invasion. Mr. Bauer said the Minority Caucus intends inviting the Finance Minister, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, to appear before the House to present government's response plan to end the hikes in fuel prices. A few days ago, the National Petroleum Authority (NPA) said it has tabled a proposal for approval by the Finance Ministry and Cabinet to help cushion petroleum consumers against the fuel hikes.
We now bring you some data on national power generation, Ghana's power export figures, and the water level in the Akosombo and Bui dams. That's it for the energy segment. I'm Dominic Honoji.
You're welcome to the health segment brought to you by Lufat from Tobinco. A visit to some health facilities within the Greater Accra region indicates that subscribers of the National Health Insurance Scheme are not enjoying the benefit of the scheme. Subscribers complain that apart from obtaining folders for free using their NHIS card, they are compelled to pay for every other service provided. Meanwhile, there are media reports that claim that payments have unduly delayed.
Contrary to claims by subscribers that the NHIS covers the acquisition of folders, authorities of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital said NHIS services were fully functional. Akosua Pokuya, a patient, was unhappy that she has had to pay for almost all services provided her at the hospital. At the Adabraka Polyclinic, the NHIS was fully operational. The administrator, Ni Ama Amate, said the NHIS covers consultations and basic medications, but not laboratory and surgical services. At the Mamobi General Hospital, a patient said the NHI needs to come clear on the benefit package of the scheme.
Meanwhile, some patients of the various hospitals in the Greater Accra region are lamenting over how slothful the payment of the NHIS claims have been for some time now. However, the Chief Executive of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Dr. Lydia Selby, says although there have been some mishaps in the payment of claims, the scheme is performing well and paying much better now.
If you see somebody in July and you are now bringing your claims, it is difficult to hold us responsible. So we do owe, and we have fallen back a little. It's not the best. We like to pay within 90 days of submission. We're tracking this and trying to catch up. But I think, giving the impression we haven't paid anybody since July 2021, that is a bit of a misrepresentation. The scheme is paying better than it used to in the past. And I defy anybody who says otherwise. At some point, we're owing close to 2 years in arrears. We are now down to, as I said, from submission to payment, we're down in arrears around two months or so. So it is better than it used to be.
The health segment was brought to you by Lufat from Tobinco.